Be inspired by everyday people and household names
who share their struggles, uplifting stories, and insights
with courage and authenticity,
empowering individuals
and the collective
to enhance our health,
expand our horizons,
and treasure the moments of our lives.
I'm Patty Teal.
And I'm Anthony Giannini.
Welcome to Everyday Enlightenment. Welcome to Everyday Enlightenment. I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Anthony Giannini. How you doing, Anthony?
I am blessed to be here. Thank you, Patty. Thank you for having me on this show as your co-host. And I would love to welcome our guest today, Michael Arterberry.
Yes. Don't ask me to say your last name, though, Anthony.
Well, I don't know which is harder, Giannini or Arterberry. They're both kind of tongue twisters, I think.
Yes.
Anyway, Anthony and I are both very excited to be talking to Michael today. Let me tell you a little bit about Michael. And before we started, he said, buckle your seatbelt. So we are ready because we are ready to be motivated today. Michael is a master encourager, dynamic motivational speaker. And he didn't have it so easy when he was younger. As a teenager, though, he was fortunate to receive guidance from positive adult role models who helped him overcome adversities and set high expectations for his future. Grateful for the role these mentors played in his own development, Michael decided to dedicate his professional life to helping people navigate the difficulties of life and launch their future into motion. For more than 25 years, he's been helping teens and adults to use what they have gone through as a catalyst for success rather than an obstacle for the future. Wow, what a timely message. We need you, Michael. Thank you so much for being here today. The world needs you.
Yeah. You know, I have to say, yes, and God has placed me here, you know, not for this reason, but I think that many of the places where I show up, it's been ordained for me to be there. So yes, I'm very excited to talk to you guys, and like Anthony says, I feel blessed.
Well, I do think that you are divinely inspired, that's for sure. So how did it start for you to decide that you wanted to take your life in that direction to inspire other people?
Okay, all right. So buckle up again. I have a story for you to help kind of walk this thing out of how I can label myself the master encourager. And it's about a farmer and a donkey. All right, now stay with me. It's about a farmer and a donkey. And its donkey is one of his favorite farm animals because once he finishes working with the donkey on the fields, he brings the donkey back to his home and he allows the donkey to play with his kids. So imagine he comes down the driveway, the kids come out, they run out, they play with the donkey, they wash him, they ride him. And this is a regular ordeal that they do. One night he brings them home, they come out, they play with them. He releases him out to the farm, but the following morning when he goes out and he whistles for the donkey doesn't show up. So when the donkey doesn't show up, the farmer starts walking around the farm and he's looking for the donkey. Finally, he hears the donkey. He fell into an empty water well during the night while he was wandering. So the farmer walks over to the well. He looks in. He's like, wow, I want to get him out. So he goes and gets 6 of his friends. And they decide that they're going to pull him out with some rope. So they all get some rope and they start to lasso the donkey. They throw the rope, they miss him. Throw the rope, they miss him. Finally, they throw it by his hind legs. He steps into the rope. They shimmy it up his body and they start to pull. They pull, the donkey moves. They pull, the donkey moves. They pull, the donkey moves. Then halfway up the well, they realize that the donkey's too heavy. So they lower him back to the bottom of the well, and now the farmer has to make a grim decision. Now, see, he can't feed him food at the bottom of the well because that wouldn't make any sense. He really can't, starve him because, like I said, he's more like his pet, so he really didn't want to starve him. Then one of his hot-headed friends said, hey, just shoot him. He's like, no, I can't shoot him. So one of his more reasonable friends said, listen, you don't want your kids to fall into the well. So you're going to have to sacrifice your donkey. We're going to cover him with dirt. Your kids will be safe, but your donkey will be gone. The farmer said, I can deal with it. So they all get shovels and they start shoveling the dirt. Every time the dirt hits the donkey would scream. Every time the donkey would scream, it would cause the farmer some distress. So you got dirt, scream, dirt, scream, dirt, scream. Then all of a sudden the scream stopped. When the scream stopped, it gave the donkey a moment of silence, but they went back to work. Dirt, 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 dirt. The next thing you know, you see the donkey's right here. So they start shoveling faster. The next thing you know, you see half the donkey's body. They start shoveling faster. The next thing you know, the donkey walks right out of the well that he fell into. Now, Patty and Anthony, listen to this. Every time that dirt came across the wall, it would fall on the donkey's back. He would shake it off, and he would step on it. And he took every scoop of dirt that was meant to kill him to save his life. Now, I start out with that story because I am the donkey. And my dirt is this. I grew up in a home with a raging alcoholic father. Now, when I say raging, I'm not embellishing with that. Raging was really what it was. And what's crazy about it is I would have fun during the day growing up, but every day that I lived, something would tap me on my shoulder and remind me that I had to go home to that house sometime that evening. So growing up wasn't the best. On top of having a raging alcoholic father, I grew up in poverty. Imagine, I had two parents, both worked full time. My dad was a bus driver. My mother was a housekeeper. But my dad's money went to drinking. My mother raised 4 kids with just a housekeeping salary. On top of the poverty, I grew up in dysfunction. You got an alcoholic father leading the home. He's passing that down to my older siblings, so I'm not really getting proper guidance. Not in my home, at least. And then in my neighborhood, you would think maybe you would have that family that was really trying to pull up, get out of the ghettos. But unfortunately, you had a lot of that going on in my neighborhood. But the silver lining to the story, and you ask me, and I'm talking about being the master encourager, I was able to take my scars and my wounds. I was able to survive all of that, and that is the catalyst, the root, and the foundation of why I want to help other people.
Oh, what a great story. I was really feeling for the donkey. I was getting worried there. So that's such a great story. And you know what immediately came to my mind, Michael, in my first career, I was a special education teacher. And some of the kids that I worked with came from such a history of poverty and such a history of abuse and such a history. I'm thinking in particular, this family that had 10, 11 kids, and they all had fetal alcohol syndrome. And so they ended up in special education classes. And I felt like, oh my gosh, all the older brothers were in prison. What's going to happen to this little boy? His name was Eddie. I'm sure he's an adult now. I don't know what happened to him. He was such a cool kid. He was so amazing. How did you have the strength to climb your way out? Did you need some sort of intervention from some adults that stepped in and helped you? I mean, how can you break that cycle and pattern that so many others are not able or haven't been able to do?
So this is what happened. Now, the funny thing about it is I've been able to structure this after the fact. So I was able to do this in real time, but I didn't realize that I was doing it. What I did is God gifted me with the ability to be a great athlete. And when I say great, I was a phenomenal athlete. I played basketball, baseball, football, and soccer. My mom got me into the sports at an early age to get me out of that craziness for respite. And I took to the sports very young. Now, I say that to you because my coaches became the parent that would be the real positive parent. My teammates became my brothers and sisters, which you would have in a traditional home. And the positive accolades that I achieved and I got from the people of being so good in the sport, I actually grew up in a toxic environment, but those things allowed me to feel like a normal kid.
Wow.
So I was able to go through the process just like a normal teenager because I had all of those things going on outside of me. But I have to tell you the secret sauce. I, I had a house that rarely had heat in the winter. And I remember around 10 years old, I was falling asleep and I was crying. And when I went to bed, I said to myself, when I get older, my kids will never have to live in this environment. And I promised myself that my kids would never have to. And during the time I was growing up, any time that it got really hard for me, my unborn children became a catalyst to push me through to be successful.
What do you think about this, Anthony? You're a younger man, but can you imagine growing up in those circumstances? And it also, just says how important sports can be. And I'm so glad that you were able to pull yourself out of that well.
It's really inspiring to hear your story, and also to hear so many kids who are in a similar situation like you, and for you to really draw some inspiration by connecting with your higher wisdom as a child, to really look into the future, to look at your true self or your higher self, to really craft that vision for your life so that you can help people who fall into a similar situation that you fell into as a youth.
Yeah. But you know what? Let me tell you this. And I work with young people, I work with adults, but I want us to all of us to understand that I have a gift to relate and connect to not only people that hurt like I did, but I also connect and meet like people like yourself, Anthony. I've built relationships, so I don't only relate and connect to the broken. I'm also able to motivate and move those that have come through similar experiences as your own, because I don't care how perfect, nobody's life was perfect, but I'm a firm believer that as we go through life, no matter how wonderful our lives are, we step on landmines. Now, the landmine doesn't blow us up, but damage occurs. And when that damage occurs, what happens is we start to make decisions based on the landmine, based on the damage, right? And rather than what's going on in real time. And so your life can be the greatest, but there's adversities that you go through on a personal level. And so I feel like, the broken, I identify with, but I identify with anyone that feels like they're not living a balanced life, if that makes sense, guys.
No, it really does. And it's so great that you can help all people and all ages. And I totally agree. None of us go through life without some trying times. If we did, I don't believe we'd be here. I think we're in Earth School and we're all learning. And no matter how blessed your life is, we all go through tough times. We lose people we love. Things happen.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll tell you what, Michael, I've been through multiple fields of landmines over the last couple of years, and I don't think I knew anything until I survived the impact of those landmines and lost a couple limbs myself, and somehow managed to patch myself together.
Yeah. And it drives you. It gives you the motivation to help others, you know what I'm saying? And, for me, and I can tell by your language that, I'm a believer, you know what I'm saying? And so I feel as if our struggles are reminders so that once we get into another struggle, we remember when we were rescued. You know what I'm saying? And so, I think that, if you look at my life, if I didn't go through what I went through, I wouldn't be talking to you guys right now. So, it's almost like, it had to happen, and not to get too spiritual, I'm going to tell you something that I realized. Like, I never was angry with what I went through, but I was about to go speak at a venue, and it hit me like a ton of bricks that the enemy came to get me when I was young. Mm-hmm. He peeked into my future. He saw the influence that I was going to have on the world, and he tried to take me out. So I take merit. I take that as a badge of honor that, hey, listen, he didn't beat me, and I'm out there, and I'm taking care of my business.
Right.
That's a true spiritual warfare. You're a true spiritual warrior.
Yeah. That's right.
Yes.
And all those hard lessons are the source of humility.
Yes, it is. Oh, you better believe I'm humble.
And understanding and compassion and empathy, all of that goes together with that. I just want to tell our listeners that Michael received the 2010 USA Network's Character Unite Award for exceptional commitment to combating prejudice and discrimination while increasing tolerance and acceptance within the community. And he's also the recipient of the 2014 100 Men of Color Award for Leadership. Wow, that's timely, isn't it? What do you think about what's going on today? I don't want to get too political, but what words of encouragement can you give to all people, whether black, white, just who might be listening to this today?
I do a really interesting exercise with my teenagers, and I call it concentric circles. So imagine when I go into a high school, I ask for a cross section of students. So I work with about 30 students at a time. And when I talk to a principal, I want them to fill my room with 30 kids from white, black, Latino, jock to the honor roll student. And so when they come in my room, that's what you have. And imagine, so they come in, they're looking at these people they don't normally hang out with. And I run them through this exercise I call concentric circles. So I have an inside circle and an outside circle. And I give them 5 questions that they have to answer. And the first question is a person you respect and why you respect them, qualities you look for in a friend. If you had the power to change something in the world, what would it be and why? A time you felt most hurt by someone you trusted, and a time you lost someone you really cared about. And I have them speak to 5 different people 1 minute, and I rotate them. We do this, I rotate them, I do everything in a circle, then I pull them out into the circle, and the first thing I say to them is, do you feel that? And the essence in the room changes because when they came in the room, they looked around and everyone was just a face. They go through the 5 questions and they realize that all those faces are people. When you ask me what we need to do with the climate of what's going on now, is we need to start treating people like people rather than treating them like faces.
Wow. I can understand how deep that must go for these young people. But honestly, when you described it, it would work for all ages. Do you also work with adults, Michael?
Well, I think our preliminary call, we talked about this, Patty. I get pigeonholed. My material is not youth sensitive. Like it's human. It's so
human.
Yeah. So I do a lot of staff development trainings for different organizations, especially in schools. And I'm actually right now talking to a corporation because, let's be quite honest, no one can really open their doors to their business after what's been going on in the world without having some sort of training or some sort of cultural event. So I'm speaking to this company right now on developing something for them. So yes, I've done this with adults. I've been called into schools where the camaraderie is down among the teachers, and my material, what it does is it makes a person become transparent. And so once you become transparent, it gives you the ability to not only connect to someone else, but also building that empathy makes relationships have a much better and stronger meaning.
So it sounds like you're really teaching people to connect on such a deep level where they actually see each other, not see each other like you're this height, you're this weight, you're this color, but they actually see each other's soul and have a deeper understanding.
Yeah. I call it living a conscious life, Patty. And I think that what's really terrible, and I teach the kids this, but the adults as well, is that when you live a conscious life, you have the ability to feel what I'm able to feel with my gift, but you can do it as well. I was watching a documentary, and a guy jumped off the San Francisco Bridge, and he survived. True story. And so they were interviewing him, and they he's in one piece, he can walk, and the interviewers, they go back to his apartment and they want to walk through the day before he went to the bridge. And so they're going through it. It was a little morbid, but I'm watching it and I'm following it. And finally, once they get to the bridge, the guy that's interviewing asked him, a question. And he said, he had to take a bus, a cab. He got on a few different things to get to the bridge. And if one person would have asked him, hey, buddy, you look like something's wrong, he said he would have called it off.
Oh, wow.
He would have called it off. He went on a bus. He got in a cab. He walked on the street. And so many people that passed him wasn't living conscious, so they missed it. And so what I teach people is when you start to feel those vibrations, you move differently. And so I explain to those teachers that sometimes comforting someone, I don't have to be able to solve your problem, but sometimes if I just acknowledge it, that is enough. Just, hey, Patty, it looks like you're having a rough day. And just by me saying that to you, you can keep walking and go to your classroom. And just from that little stroke, you can be able to get through the day because somebody recognized it.
Well, you are motivational. I didn't have the easiest morning, nothing horrible, but I just got goosebumps when you told that story because we so often don't take the time to look at people and see people. So I love that you're reminding people of that. And I know you have a fairly new book called 250 Days of Motivation and Encouragement. I just want to read the first page to our listeners. Short-term thinkers plant gardens. Long-term thinkers plant trees. Eternity-minded thinkers plant themselves in the souls of others. Wow.
Yeah. You want me to walk that out for you a little bit, Patty?
Yes.
Yes. Let me walk that out for you, Patty. Listen, let me tell you something. What I mean by that is this. Not only should you live a conscious life, but your goal in life, and I love the fact that you're both spiritual because you'll get this and I don't have to really break it down. But you want to leave people to feel like they've been touched. My mission in life is when I leave a person, when I finish speaking to that person, when I walk out the door, when I turn around and I walk away, they say, what the heck just hit me? Now, for a secular person, it's just whatever. But for a person that, or not even secular, I don't want to separate it, but being a man of God, that my purpose is for, some people will never meet or try to meet him because they don't believe in God. So I heard a spiritual song and it said that if you're looking for him, I hope you find him in me. And so, when I talk about eternity-minded thinking, I want you to leave you feeling like, whoo, I don't know what that was, but it's something that's real powerful. And if you get the guts to ask me the question, that opens up my opportunity to give my testimony.
Soul shaking.
Soul shaking. My soul is shaking. This was just beautiful to talk to you today. And I am so honored that you reached out to Anthony and myself so that we could have you on the podcast. I can't think of a more important message in these times and really always. And you must feel so fulfilled to be making a difference in so many people's lives where you could just feel it tangibly like that when you leave an office full of people or a classroom full of kids, to have them really, really see themselves in a deeper, more spiritual manner.
Yeah, it's taken some time. I start each one of my days with my quiet time with God. My book is actually a compilation of those quiet times. What I do is I take my quiet time, my spiritual time, and then whatever I get from that time, I put it on paper. And what happened was I was putting out posts on my Facebook page, and a woman was dying of cancer, and she wrote me a message, and she said, Michael, I would love to have all of your messages in one place. And so what I did is I went back on my Facebook page and I started to pull my messages, and I wrote my book for her.
Wow.
And I dedicated it to her. And the 250, I have more than 250 pages, but I made it 250. I didn't want to make it 365. like a daily devotional because people get caught up on dates. But my book is a compilations of that quiet time, my spiritual time, and it's not just about God, but it's about being able to read a page and being uplifted to move forward in a day's time.
And your book is available on Amazon. And would you repeat the title again so people can find it?
Well, listen, Patty. If they go to, and we can put this in the show notes.
Sure.
If they go to shakethedirtexperience.com,
Mm-hmm.
they can actually get a free copy right now.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Shakethedirtexperience.com. They go there and they can get a free copy of my book.
Yeah, we can put that on social media, or I should say we, it's Anthony that does that. But I think Anthony will be doing that for you because I know we're both so inspired. So I know you're a coach. You're actually, is it a football coach?
Football, yes.
You're a coach. You're a coach to people. You're a coach to help people get on with their lives, move forward with their lives. Do you do personal coaching? I know also you do motivational speaking. Do you work one-on-one with people if they contact you?
Yes. You know, it's. I haven't had the time with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, before COVID.
Oh, right.
What COVID has done is, believe it or not, the way God works is, right before COVID, I went to a branding conference in LA, and it talked about global awareness
Mm-hmm.
and how you need to get out globally. So that's why I'm actually reached out to your podcast, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to get my message out globally. That being said, I've been able to put together an online course and also start to make myself available for one-to-one coaching. So yes, people can reach out and find me for one-to-one coaching as well.
And would they email you, call you? What is your preferred method for people to reach you?
They can reach me at michaelarterberry.com.
Would you spell Arterberry?
Yes, ARTERBERRY.
And that goes to your website, and from there they can contact you?
Yes, they can.
Okay. My goodness, I didn't even mention that I know you work with all ages, but you have a nonprofit called Youth Voices Center. Would you like to speak a little bit about that?
Yes, I created a youth development program. You know, I took my life experience. I went off to college to be a social worker. I had a few jobs working with the youth, and they would go online and buy these curriculums, give them to me, and then when they would fail, I would get in trouble. So I said, all right, I got something for them. And I went into my laboratory and I created my own. I call it Power of Peace. The success from the youth development program created my nonprofit, which is Youth Voices Center. And so I'm able to go into schools, and you know, I meet with groups about 30 at a time. Schools commit to about 6 groups, and so I'm able to allow the young people to get insight in themselves and start to change the culture within the buildings and the schools that I go into.
And can you travel to different states
Oh, yeah.
right now? Yes.
Yeah. Wherever there's kids, you know, I travel. So, you know, I had the privilege of going to San Juan, Puerto Rico, to do a workshop. You know, but you know, I go wherever, you know, there's a need, and you know, wherever I'm requested. So, you know, with COVID, you know, there's not much movement going on now, but you know, these podcasts last forever. So if a person hears this and our restrictions are lifted, I'm not limited to an area. I'm limited to where the resource is needed.
Well, I'm completely inspired. You changed the entire course of my day, and maybe more, because I think I'm going to keep this with me for quite a while. And Anthony may have a question before we go, but I just thought you could leave us with an inspiring thought, maybe from your book.
From my book.
Or not. Just an inspiring thought was good.
Yeah. You know, one thing that I would like to leave everyone with is the teacher must always remain the student. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what we need to do is we need to take perfection off the table. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And once you take perfection off the table and you realize that you're always a student, you flow and you move through life in a different headspace. You know what I mean? I'm very disciplined. I'm very strict. But when I was able to realize that, it puts me in a place of peace because if I don't get it right, I don't drive myself crazy. And so yes, always remain the student and be inquisitive. Ask
Right.
questions.
Right.
You
In
know,
yoga, they call it the beginner's mind.
there
Yes.
you go. Yeah,
Anthony,
yeah.
any burning questions before we say goodbye to Coach Arterberry, Michael Arterberry?
Well, thank you so much, Michael. You're very inspirational. And when I was younger, a motivational speaker came to my school to talk about social injustice and bullying in school and things like that. And I imagine he would cover similar topics that you covered. And I was deeply impacted at that time. So I can kind of imagine what impact you're having on the youth now, not to mention adults, And so I'd love to see you globalize your efforts, especially during this critical time of 2020. And for myself, I'm an anthropologist and I study cultures and people from around the world. And I look to unify people through all those common messages in the same way that you're doing that, kind of as a social translator, interpreter, and communicator against these social linguistic barriers. So thank you so much, Michael, and good luck to you.
Thank you. Yeah, anytime you want to partner, Anthony, let me know. We could do big things.
I'm looking forward to it, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Take care. Thanks
All
for
right.
reaching out. Bye-bye.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Everyday Enlightenment. To subscribe, listen to past episodes, or if you'd like to be featured on Everyday Enlightenment, visit hubforpodcasting.com.